Hey guys, it's the Whale coming at you with my Floowandereeze deck profile for the month of June 2024. I have topped about 2 locals with this deck in the short time that I've been playing it, just to show that this deck is just so good, even in today's meta after all these years of it being out. Also, I want to state that you can make this deck for about 20 bucks, max maybe around 30. So if you guys are looking for a cheap deck to kind of get into competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, highly recommend this deck. So let's get right into it, guys. Of course, we're playing the number 1 bird, 3 Robina. So if you guys don't know, the way I like to structure my deck profiles is I like to go in depth in my card choices, some of their effects if you guys have never played it before. And then if you guys have any questions, you guys can always just leave a comment down below. If you guys just care about the deck image or just the deck, there's always going to be a deck image down below, so you guys can just copy it from there. Anyway, so Robina, it's one of your primary normal summons, so all the little birds are level 1. All right, so on normal summon, it lets you add a level 4 or lower winged beast from your deck to the hand, and then immediately after, summon it. So that's all one effect. So remember, on the resolution is on the additional normal summon of it, but you have to fulfill that condition of adding that winged beast, right? So you normal summon it, you add a winged beast, and then you immediately normal summon again, and then a new chain can resolve. So please keep that in mind. That's extremely important when playing this deck. So in accompanying of the 3 Robina, we're playing the 3 Eglin, or Eglin, however you like to pronounce it. So Eglin is basically the same thing as Robina, except on normal summon lets you add a level 7 or higher winged beast monster from your deck to your hand. So that is extremely important because that's how you get your M-Pen and your other tribute monsters. So you usually want to go Robina into Eglin into your big bird, and then tribute both of them off, because remember, that does count as a normal summon. For the rest of the little birds, we are playing the 1 Stree and the 1 Token. So Stree is extremely important even in this meta. I think if there's a bird that you can totally bump up to 2 if you'd like, it would be Stree, though I didn't find the need to. You'll see why. So Stree on normal summon lets you target a card in either player's graveyard and banish it, and then you can immediately normal summon again, on the resolution of that effect. Token lets you target any Floowandereeze card in your banished pile, add it to your hand. So it lets you recycle your spells and traps that are banished. I was playing against the Runic player, which is honestly one of this deck's hardest matchups, but I just had the cards that I needed to win that game 3, and it was all thanks to Token, just being able to kind of recycle cards from my banished pile. But it's only for Floowandereeze cards, so keep that in mind, okay? For the big baddie of the Floowandereeze deck, I mean, minus Robina, of course, we're playing 2 M-Pen. M-Pen is the level 10 Winged Beast 2700 beater and is considered the boss monster of the Floowandereeze archetype. So, on normal summon, none of these effects are once per turn, by the way. This is the only Floowandereeze monster, I think, that is used regularly that is not once per turn, meaning that if you get multiple M-Pens out, you'll get multiple of these effects out. So it states that on tribute summon, you can add a Floowandereeze spell or trap card from your deck to your hand, and then immediately normal summon off of its effect. By the way, that normal summon is not restricted to winged beast monsters. It's just a normal summon. So if you want to run something cheeky like a Jowgin or like a Dinah, like I used to run, by all means you can. I also forgot to state that all the little birds have the same effect, that when you normal summon a winged beast, you can immediately chain link to block it from your main, like, let's just say you normal summon Robina and your Eglin is in the banished pile. You can normal summon Robina, chainlink 1, chainlink 2. Since you met the conditions, you can add one of your banished little birds to your hand, at this case being Eglin. Therefore you can dodge stuff like Ash Blossom, okay? Or just little cheeky plays like that, what make really good Floowandereeze players. So please also keep in mind that you need to manage your banished pile very well as well to play this deck. So for the rest of the birds, we're playing the 1 Apex Evian. This is basically your Omni Negate. So once you set up your M-Pen, you can search out your other bird. Avian is essentially when your opponent activates a card or effect, you can target a Mist Valley card or monster. It will always be this card, and bounce it back to your hand. That way you also have you always have like an additional tribute if you want to keep tributing. I once tributed 3 times this card in the same turn with unexplored winds and maps and my dreaming town. It was kind of nuts. I forgot to state for M-Pen, the reason why M-Pen is actually so good is because It's an as a skill drain for monsters that are special summoned in attack position. Again, if you guys are new to the game, link monsters can only exist in attack position. So this is an anti-link monster card. Just wanted to state that. So you have your skill drain that lets you add any spell or trap card or Floowandereeze spell or trap card, and you have your Omni Negate, which is Apex Avian or Big Chicken, as some people like to refer to it. We are also running the one Rise of the Mega Monarch. So this card is insanely OP in this deck because it lets you stack, your shifters to kind of have them in a constant, macrocosmos type of game state, and they just kind of lose. I did that a couple times in my tournament, and after the second tribute of Ryza, and they saw that I was going to target my shifter, and I was going to top deck it next turn to just dump it again to the graveyard to, kind of loop that macrocosmos effect. They were just like, okay, next game. So Monarch essentially states that you can tribute this card by tribute summoning by only using one tribute summon monster. Excuse me. So if you have one M-Pen, you can just tribute over the M-Pen. If this card is tribute summoned, you can target one card on the field and one card in either player's graveyard. So one on the field and one on the graveyard. Also, if this card was tribute summoned by tributing a win monster, which it will always be, you can target an additional card on the field, place it on top of the deck. Place the first targets on top of the deck in any order. Also, return that additional target to the hand. So, little advice if you guys are taking it, you're going to target the cards that you want off the field of your opponent. If you want your opponent to top deck a dead card, you target something on their card or in their and then in the graveyard, you want to target your Dimensional Shifter, your Harpy's Feather Storm, whatever card you want to top deck, and you're always going to try to target Ryza itself to bounce it back to your hand. That way you have additional tributes and more disruptions. So just in case if you guys were unaware of that, because once I learned how to utilize Mega Monarchs effectively, it was just a completely different ballgame for me. And for the last of the monsters, I am playing 3-Dimensional Shifter. There's just something so special about Floowandereeze and Dimensional Shifter that you're going to hear your opponent sigh a lot. And once your opponent knows you're on Floowandereeze game 2 or game 3, they're just gonna be like, did you open Shifter? Because if you open Shifter, I mean, the game is gonna be pretty one-sided. So this deck is, once it gets its engine rolling, it has one of the best engines in the game, right? Once you have your little birds in rotation and everything, and you can chain block and you can manage your resources, it's very difficult for you to lose. Now, does this deck need Dimensional Shifter to win the game? Absolutely not. I have honestly won games without seeing Dimensional Shifter, and just M-Pen has gotten me there, or my Dreaming Town Book of Mooning, or just, my support cards. It's as easy as that. So Dimensional Shifter is just phenomenal in that regard, but you do not need it in this deck to win the game. So don't think that if you don't see Shifter in your opening hand, well, then you lose. It's not the case. So that is it for the monsters, guys. I believe we're running 16, if I'm not mistaken. Let's go on to the spells. The Floowandereeze spells are 3 magnificent map. Arguably, this is the best spell, field spell. Well, it's the best spell in the deck. Arguably, I think all of Floowandereeze spells and traps are extremely overpowered. This card is basically what allows you to set up your engine rolling. So it states that during your main phase, you can reveal one level 1 Floowandereeze monster from your hand, banish a Floowandereeze card from your deck. So usually turn 1, let's just say Robina, you reveal Robina, and then you banish Eaglin. That way you can immediately normal summon the Robina, because that's the effect. You immediately normal summon Robina Chainlink 1, Eaglin Chainlink 2, you already have your chain blocks and your engine going. Keep in mind that this is an additional normal summon. So let's just hypothetically say you open up Robina, another level 1, and an Eaglin. And map. You activate map, you activate map's effect to reveal Robina, right? You normal summon Robina, banishing Eaglin, you search out another little bird, and your opponent decides to Imperm or Veiler or whatever the case may be, and you don't have a way out of that, you can still additionally normal summon for turn, because what this is that it's giving you an additional normal summon. So please keep that in mind. You technically have 2 normal summons for the turn with this card. It's just fantastic. And the other effect that your opponent probably hates is if your opponent normal summons a monster, immediately after this effect resolves, you can normal summon 1 Floowandereeze monster from your hand. So essentially, you can, normal summon another little bird. You can normal summon an M-Pen. If you have unexplored winds, just tribute 1 you control and another one that your opponent controls, and that has stopped so many turns for me. So This card's just fantastic. Of course, we're running 3. Just kidding, we're running 4 maps because this card is a key consistency card. Talking about consistency, we're also running 3 Floowandereeze Advent of Adventure. This card is your quick play time card as well, even though I've never really gone into time with this deck. So essentially, you can banish. It's a quick play spell. You can banish 1 winged beast monster from your hand or face up on the field as cost. So that means that it allows you to dodge cards like Infinite Impermanence, Effect Veiler, and cards of the sort. Any targeting removal. This is really, really good card. Okay, and then you can add 1 Floowandereeze monster or 1 Floowandereeze field spell from your deck to your hand. So this is another terraforming for your field spell, or if you need to get another Floowandereeze monster, like let's just say an Eaglin or an M-Pen, this lets you get it. And then on the resolution of all that, you gain 500 life points. I'm sorry, it's not on the resolution. It's all one effect. So you'll get the 500 life points. So, at least for me personally, I don't know if maybe it's because it's a local setting, so my opponents are a lot ready to quit. But I've never gone into time, but a lot of times this is also your time card, right? So we obviously have the 3 Advents, and we actually have 2 Swallows Kauri. So this essentially is Advent 2 Electric Boogaloo. It states it's another quick play spell card that states that you contribute 1 winged beast monster in your hand or face up on the field, add 1 winged beast monster from your deck to your hand with the same level as the attributed monster. Again, guys, this is another way to dodge targeting negation or removal for your little birds or even your big birds, right? So you can add the same bird. So multiple times let's just say normal summoned Stree, and a lot of people are like, oh my god, he doesn't have Robina, so I have to negate that, because a lot of people try to save your negation for M-Pen or maybe the second summon of Robina. But no, because you summon Stree, target a card in the graveyard, they imperm, right? And then you can Swallows Kauri, add Robina, right? Even if you don't have Robina in hand, you can add Robina, and since you banish a card in the graveyard, whichever graveyard, you immediately normal summon Robina, and now they're left out of an interruption, right? So it basically works as another Advent. I think Swallows Kauri at 2 is fantastic. When I saw this card, I felt so safe and comfortable. That being said, for the last of the Floowandereeze spell, we're running the 1 Beach, the 1 Floowandereeze, and the Unexplored Winds. This card, I have a very love or hate relationship, because I always want to run this card at 2. I'm only running it at 1, as you can see, because it's very searchable off of M-Pen, off of Magnificent Map. You can just banish it with it, and then add it back with Talkin. This card is so crazy. So it's a continuous spell. It basically states that you can conduct a tribute summon that requires 2 tributes by sending 1 monster you control and 1 card your opponent controls non-targeting. This does not activate, so it works very well against Ghost Spell. I'm sorry, not Ghost Spell, Ghost Ogre. So it's just a fantastic card. And remember, you want to keep in mind your chain links, meaning that if you have an Eaglin and your opponent has a monster, that hasn't activated its effect, the resolution where chains can happen is on the summon, the additional summon. So if you tribute summon that monster off with Unexplored Winds and Eaglin, that monster does not get its effect, because it technically will never hit the field. So it's really, really good. It also has a secondary effect that you can reveal up to 2 winged beast monsters in your hand, place them at the bottom of the deck, draw the same amount. I barely ever use that, but it's good to declog your hand. The reason why I don't run 2, like I said, is because it's highly searchable, it's highly recyclable, but this card is very much needed in some matchups. This card is your out to floodgates like Skill Drain, which is this deck's crux. There can be only 1 Gozen match. This card single-handedly won my Runic match, my game 3 in my Runics. So just playing against that matchup, and if Runics become more popular, at least in my local settings, I will probably try my best to put this at 2 in the main deck, but so far I really like it at 1. Okay? For the consistency cards, because the deck actually loses to itself, it's a little depressing. We're running 3 pots of Duality. You do not special summon in this deck. I don't think I've ever special summoned from the extra deck in the last 2 weeks that I've played this deck and talked. Speaking about the other pots, we're running 3 pots of Prosperity. Your extra deck does not matter. I'm not even going to show it in this profile because it does not matter. You want to dig into 9 cards. And if you can dig into your Robina, into your Magnificent Map, into things that keep you safe, like Advent and Swallows Kauri, you're basically in a good position. So now for the non-engine, well, not non-engine, but like the card that I decided was a three-dimensional fissure. Even though I didn't see Shifter all game, I did see Dimensional Fissure. This card is so fantastic going first. I do run going second cards in this deck, but I always choose to go first if I can because Dimensional Fissure is just so fantastically busted. This card single-handedly mostly wins me against my my voiceless voice matchup, my Snake Eyes matchup. This card is just so fantastic. Against Snake Eyes, they kind of have to be forced to go into your the SP Little Knight, and by then you'll probably already have so much set up with Apex Avian and stuff like that that you can protect it. This card is so incredibly fantastic. It does not hurt you in the slightest. So I think D-Fissure is a permanent stay, at least for me in Floowandereeze. I think this card's so good. So for the rest of the spells, we are running the 2 Dark Ruler. I'm sorry, not the 2, the 3 Dark Ruler no more. I just wanted a tool that would allow me to go second. This is a thrustless version, so that's why I said that you can probably build this entire deck for like 25, 30 bucks. So I think 3 Dark Ruler no more is really good when your opponent has, when you're going second, when you're forced to go second, and you see a Dark Ruler, and your opponent has the typical Snake Eyes board, you're never going to proc Princess in the graveyard because Princess requires a special summon. You're only going to be normal summoning. And Voiceless Voice, I mean, Dark Ruler is just so good against Voiceless Voice. So I think that the 2 Dark Ruler is really, really good. At least for me it is. And it also works against Melodious, and then I can just set up and tribute up for all their stuff. 2 Evenly Matched. I think this card is extremely underrated in this format. It's my favorite trap card. I will always try my best to include it in most of my decks that can run it. So I think 2 Evenly Match is fantastic. I think one of my favorite moments was against my Voiceless Voice player. He basically had full setup, full trap. I was going second, and I was like, oh, I had a Dark Ruler, but I didn't really have anything else. So and I had a little bird, but I wasn't going to be able to get it off. So then I potted Duality into an Evenly Matched. He then, was like, okay, I guess that's fine. I guess he was trying to like wait for me to call end phase, like end of main phase to go into battle phase. I Dark Rulered him, and he was like, okay, yeah, that's fine. That's GG. Because he wasn't going to be able to play, and he knew I had a little bird in hand. And for the one last trap, we were running the 1 Dreaming Town. I see some people run this at 2 because the additional normal summon is not the once per turn effect. The once per turn effect is the Book of Moon effect, where if you tribute summoned and you control a level 7 or higher Wing Beast monster, you can banish this card from the graveyard and Book of Moon the entire opponent's enemy's field, opponent's field or whatever. But I would rather bump up Unexplored Winds to 2 than Dreaming Town to 2 because I feel like Unexplored Winds has saved me quite a bit more. That is it for the deck. It's a solid 40. I don't think you need to go more than 40 in the Floowandereeze deck. Let's go over my side deck. So my side deck, I'm gonna show you guys the side deck I was using in the tournament in my Rarity OTS, but I very much. I'm going to tell you what I would change. So first things first, we're running the 1 DD Crow. The DD Crow is helpful citing it in if you're going first because Robina just lets you add a level 4 lower Wing Beast. This is a level 1 Wing Beast, so it's not bad at all. Also, it works again with Swallow's Kauri. So if you normal summon Robina, they Imperm, you chain Kauri, you can just add a DD Crow if you have the other bird in hand already. So it's not bad at all. 2 Lightning Storms. I think this card's just good. It's another, going second card. What can I say? Speaking about going second cards, we're running the 3 Cosmic Cyclones. I'm just terrified of Floodgates, if you want me to be completely honest with you. It's kind of sad because I don't have Thrust. I don't own Thrust. Thrust is pretty good because it allows you to kind of make your main deck a little more spacious. But unfortunately, I don't have it. For the traps, we are running the 2 Trap Tricks, and this is to fetch out our 3... Oops, excuse me, let me fix that real quick. This is to fetch out our 3 Harpies Feather Storm. This card's cracked. I sided 2 Trap Tricks, 3 Harpies Featherstorm Duster every single game going first. Unfortunately, like I said, you will see in most Floowandereeze deck profiles, you'll see this card mained. but that's because they have thrusts, so it's a lot easier for them to just dig it from their deck. A lot of people forget that Trap Trick is a card. So like if I'm going first and I just sit on M pen, and I set the Trap Trick, I can just during their draw phase just Trap Trick into a Harpy's Featherstorm, and they already know what's coming. So they kind of have to play around that. This just shuts off my opponent's turn, and I can just go in for a crazy OTK. Another Trap Trick target was Dimensional Barrier. This was for things like Tempai or like Voiceless Voice, but honestly, Featherstorm just did the job. I would side in the 3 Harpies Featherstorm, the 2 Trap Trick, and the 3 Dimensional Barrier, just to kind of set up the odds of me seeing at least one of those cards. But I barely ever use Dimensional Barrier. I know that it's technically considered one of the best side deck trap cards in the game right now. I just barely ever saw it. I just feel like Harpy's Featherstorm just did way more. So going forward, these might be something like maybe Book of Eclipse, like another board breaker card. Or, something in that regard. And another card I cited infrequently that I never saw was Rivalry of Warlords, because all your typings are Wing Beast. So I think Rivalry is a really, really good card in this deck. Guys, that is it for the deck profile. If you guys enjoyed, please leave a like, rate, comment, and subscribe. And like always, if you guys have any questions, leave them down below. I'll try my very best to answer them in a timely manner. So, this has been The Whale. Catch you guys later.